The Cleveland Cavaliers schedule for next season just got released, and man, is it going to be fun to be a Cavs fan next year. The core four is back, and they're going to be playing some familiar faces early on in the season, and it's going to lead for some great matchups and some exciting times. Welcome back to Cavs Digest. I am your host, Caden Schmid, and if you enjoy basketball updates, Cavs news, Cavs updates, go ahead and subscribe. We'll have all the Cavs updates on this channel right here, all the Cavs news, all that good stuff right here, Cavs Digest. But let's jump right into this thing. So, starting off, the Cavs have 16 nationally televised games. That is exciting. That is exciting. Now, 8 of them are on NBA TV, so kind of not really 16 nationally televised, 8 primetime games with 4 on TNT, 4 on ESPN. Now, all 4 TNT games are on the road, which is a little rude, but 3 of the ESPN games are at home. But we have to go to Boston twice, once on TNT, once on ESPN. What the heck? Boston couldn't come to Cleveland on prime time? What is that? Well, it's whatever, though. But they also split games with Orlando. One's in Orlando, one's in Cleveland. They play in Indiana twice, both on TNT. So, again, what are we doing? One of them could have been in Cleveland, one could be in Indiana. But then they get Miami at home, so that'll be cool. And they also get the Knicks at home. Both of those will be on ESPN. Those will be really fun games to watch later on in the season. But they do have a couple challenges, definitely. 16 sets of back-to-back games. 16 of their games this season are going to be coming off minimal rest. They already don't get a lot of rest, but off the back-to-backs, man, they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They're tough, and especially some of them, they're going to be here on the map and going to here. And shaky, a little bit shaky, but 16 sets, it's going to be a lot, but the Cavs are up for it. Now, the roster is exciting, and Kenny Atkinson thinks so too. He was asked about the roster. He said, that's what's great about this situation, is the roster that's in place. There's enough. There's enough to take that next step, no doubt about it. Okay, take the step then. Take it. Let's go. Let's see it. But, this is the roster we're sporting. The core four's back. Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen. They're all back. They're all under contract for a bunch of years. 3 years minimum on all of them, and contract-wise. And Max Strus is here. Hopefully Okoro will resign. Craig Porter's healthy. Dean Wade's healthy. Jalen Tyson looks sick in Summer League. They just signed JT Thor to a 2-way. He's not on this, but they just signed him to a 2-way. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets good minutes in the NBA at some point in this season, whether it's injuries or even just opportunity presents itself. He's playing good in the G League. They call him up. The roster's nice. Karis LeVert, we don't know if he'll be on the team or not, but if he is, it's still a great piece to have. And it's exciting. It's exciting. Now, still no backup center, but that's okay. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Now, here's what we all have been waiting for, the schedule, the almighty schedule. Now, a couple things stick out if we're looking top to bottom. So, JB's coming to town. And then our first primetime game versus Orlando. Orlando's coming to Cleveland on ESPN. 6th game of the season. That's going to be exciting. Right after the game after we play the Lakers, which was the game after we go to New York. The beginning of the season is going to be exciting. There's going to be some tough challenges. We're going to see what this team is about. First 3 games, those might be the 3 worst teams in the Eastern Conference. 3 of the 5 worst teams, we'll say, in the Eastern Conference. And then they get New York, LA, Orlando. So, fun little stretch. And then they split with Milwaukee now. That's going to be fun. Really get the litmus test at New Orleans, Golden State. The first 10 games are going to be fun. The season's starting off hot. And then play Philly, And then we'll get into the in-season tournament. The games in the blue are the in-season tournament. So Chicago, at Boston, at Atlanta, Washington. I think the Cavs win 3 of these games. I really do. Now, I think the loss is probably Boston, but I would not be surprised if they beat Boston and lose to like Chicago. Like at all. I would not be surprised at all. That'd be something that the Cavs would do. But a couple games in between there, they play Boston. Boston's coming to town, not as the in-season tournament game, but in that stretch there. And then they get to play Denver before the in-season tournament, and they get to go to Miami. So some more like tough challenges. The first 25 games, they're going to be fun. Every game's going to be fun. This team is fun. The in-season tournament will happen. I think the Cavs have a chance to do something in there. I'm not expecting to win or nothing. I'm not too worried about it. It would be very cool, but I hope they do good, obviously. We'll see what they do with it. Now, those are the 2 games that are unaccounted for. If you see there's 82 games, but those 2 are counted. Those are unaccounted for because they need the schedule from the group games, like those games in blue. They need to make the schedule for those 2 games. So those will get filled out later on in the season. But right after that, they get Milwaukee, Philly, and then they got a rude 4-game away stand on the road on the West Coast over Christmas break. The 27th to the 1st. Last game in Dallas on the 1st. They start out in Denver, and then they go to Golden State, and then they go to LA. Golden State and LA is one of those back-to-backs. And then they go to Dallas. Whew. That's tough. That's a tough stretch there. That's definitely a tough stretch. But then they get Charlotte at home, so they can bounce back. But then OKC, and they get to play Indiana twice, one of those games, one of those home away back-to-backs. And it's not on back-to-back days, but back-to-back games. One of them will be that TNT game, Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, Phoenix. It's going to be fun. Now, let's look at the predictions. So we'll skim through those games we already talked about. They start out, they win those first 3. New York and LA, those are going to be tough, but I think they win that Orlando game on primetime. I think they win it. D-Mitch's going to drop 38 and like 8, and they're going to win pretty handedly. I think so. Handedly, I say that it's going to be like a 7-point win. Something calm. And then they're going to split that game, those back-to-backs with Milwaukee, lose to New Orleans, get a little hot, win 3, lose at Philadelphia, win their first in-season tournament game versus Chicago, but then they're going to lose versus Boston, and then I think they catch fire. 6-game streak right there, 2 of them being the last 2 in-season tournament cup games, the group stage games, and then I think they lose to Denver and in Miami before the in-season tournament. Come out of the in-season tournament, wax Milwaukee. I think they dominate that game, but then lose to Philly. And then win Utah, and then this away stand. I think it's going to be so tough. I think they lose all 4 games. I think that's their longest losing streak of the season right there. Those 4 games, they're going to be tough. I don't know if they'll take even one of them. It's going to be a tough stretch. Man. Over Christmas break, yeah. Christmas break on the West Coast for the Cavaliers. But Charlotte, OKC, win those, lose to Toronto, because they always lose a game to Toronto unless we had LeBron, but we don't have LeBron. So they always lose a game to Toronto. And I think they split that one with Indiana, lose to OKC, but beat Minnesota in Minnesota, beat Phoenix now. Now we're at the games I haven't talked about yet, and this is a tough stretch too here. They go Indiana twice, OKC, Minnesota, Phoenix, Houston, Philly, Houston again. That's a tough stretch of games. I think they do pretty well throughout that. And they get Detroit, Miami win, a loss to Atlanta, and then they go on a mean win streak. 9 games. I think that's the longest win streak of the season right there. They go nuts. They lose to Orlando in Orlando on TNT. Now, right there, that part of the season's fun because there's 5 primetime games out of 7 games. That's exciting. Now, rest of the season, there's a couple fun games. They get to play San Antonio. They get to play Wemby. I think they split with Wemby. Beat Orlando again, and they end the season off at New York and then Indiana. And what if they play Indiana 2 of the last 3 games, one of them being the primetime game, that could be very important playoff seeding with New York in there too. Those could be really fun games. But I think the Cavs win 51 of these 80 total games listed here. And I think they have a great season. I really do. I think the Cavs bounce back a little bit next season. I think they make it to at least the second round again. Hopefully at least the conference finals. We obviously want to win the finals, but conference finals, that's the step above its growth. So that's what we hope for. But if you enjoyed, leave a like. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my takes here on the schedule down in the comments below. And I hope everyone has a good day, and peace.